this meeting of the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Environmental Affairs and Development Planning. It is the 13th of October and it has just gone 1 o'clock. And I wish to welcome you one and all. A particular word of welcome to Honorable America, who has also joined. Unfortunately, I do not see any other members. There I see Honorable Maseko as well. So thank you very much, honorable members. That means that we are quorate and that we can start with our meeting. As I've said, a special word of welcome to the members, and perhaps they would just quickly like to introduce themselves to us. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Derek America. I'm standing in for Honorable Jerry Bartman. Thank you.
Thank you so much and most welcome.
Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Matlodi Maseko. I'm the member of the Standing Committee.
Good, thank you very much. And then I've had apologies. Apparently, Honorable Maran is running late. We do hope that he will be joining us throughout the meeting. And then I've also received apologies from MEC Ivan Meyer for Agriculture. I believe there is a cabinet meeting on today. And then I don't know where Honorable Murray is at present. We do hope that he will also be joining us. If I could ask the procedural officer, to Ms. Niekerk, if she would be so kind to see if she can get hold of him.
I'll do so, Chairperson. I'll try and get hold of him.
Thank you very much. And then I don't welcome to the officials, particularly our head of department, Dr. Sebo Petsa. Dr. Sebo Petsa, I don't know if you're perhaps in a room where there are more than one person on this meeting, but there has been a bit of sound feedback, and I would appreciate it if the others in the same room could just mute themselves. Good. Then also I wish to welcome then, as I've said, Dr. Sebo Petsa, then also Mr. Jacobs, and that's from the department side, and then from Cassidra side, Mr. Van Zyl, Mr. Neft, Mr. Bronkhorst, and also Ms. Seconds. I don't know if there are any other officials that I have not yet welcomed to this meeting. If none, then I see there are some others that are also on the meeting. I'll give you an opportunity just now. And then as usual, my appreciation for our support staff. I'm quickly seeing here Ms. Morris from the ICT. You've already heard Ms. Niekerk's voice. And then also I see Mr. Hassam is also with us. So thank you very much. Dr. Sebo Petsa, would you perhaps like to welcome the other officials? I see more of them have joined us since. Over to you, Dr. Sebo Petsa.
Chairperson, thank you very much, and good afternoon to you and to the honorable members. I have joined this meeting using my office manager's computer because, like the minister, I'm also at the cabinet meeting. But like I indicated to you yesterday, I thought it was important that I also be here just to indicate so also to the members. But from the department, we are ready to deliver the presentation. Suffice to say, since the last time we met, a lot of progress had been made, and we are happy to share that with yourselves today, Chairperson. Thanks.
No, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Sebo Petsa. We look forward, and it's good to hear that you are able to report on progress. Dr. Sebo Petsa, to honorable members and others, contacted me last night regarding a tragedy at Vikral, particularly since we are now today dealing with Amalia and Vikral, and they've had some rain. And I was wondering, Dr. Sebo Petsa, if you wouldn't just again tell us what is the latest on the happenings there at Vikral.
Chair, thank you very much. It was brought to my attention yesterday that a tragedy had happened, I'm told it was on Sunday, this past Sunday, that 2 boys got to the dam in Vikral, and apparently they were swimming and they drowned. And when I was alerted, I immediately asked Cassidra to dispatch colleagues that would go to the affected families, and I was advised that that happened. And I am aware that Cassidra will be also further engaging with the families around the matter. But I also believe that this may be a matter of police investigation as we speak. Clearly, from our side, I thought it was important that I bring it to your attention, Chair, so that you don't read about such happening in the media. I thought it was my responsibility to immediately bring to your attention, and that's why we called you yesterday. We are keeping the whole process closely. We will bring whatever information that emerge as we go along. Suffice to say, we are in contact with the affected families. Indeed, a sad a tragedy for that community and also for us in the agricultural sector. Chair, thank you very much.
No, thank you, Dr. Sebupetsa. Welcome to Honorable Marais as well. Dr. Sebupetsa, I want to say first, thank you very much for informing us and bringing us up to date regarding this tragedy. And our condolences. I think I speak on behalf of not only this committee, but also of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, if I convey our condolences first to the family members of the deceased, of the boys, but then also to you and the department, and particularly as the agent, Cassidra. And I do know that this is quite a shock. It's always hard to deal with. And I want to express my appreciation for what you've already done in this regard. So we wish you, the department, and Cassidra everything of the best, and particularly our thoughts go out to the family members of those 2 boys. Thank you. I just want to know, Honourable Marais, would you just like to also introduce yourself or announce your presence?
Thank you, sir. So kind of you to recognize me. Yes, sorry that I'm a minute or so late. I'm Peter Marais, representing the Freedom Front Plus on this important standing committee. And
thank you very much. Good. Thank you very much, Honourable Marais. Honourable members, you've all received the agenda for today, plus a number of supporting documents. And I look forward to that, particularly as Dr. Sebupetsa have said that they have considerable progress to report. And I believe linked to this tragedy is also the fact that we've seen some rain in Vikral, and that there is now water in the dam that for so long have been dry. Dr. Sebupetsa, I understood that Mr. Jacobs will be doing the presentation. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, Chairperson, and thank you very much.
Good. Thank you very much. And if you have to leave for the cabinet meeting, you are welcome at any time. I don't know if they will be calling you to draw your attention to the fact that they require your presence there. And we wish you well in that meeting as well. And with that, I want to give over then to Mr. Darryl Jacobs. Mr. Jacobs, please proceed.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. And thank you very much for the opportunity to present again. Can I just check, are you able to hear me clearly?
Thank you, indeed.
Excellent. Chair, I'm going to put the presentation in presentation mode. I can't see who are the representatives from the departments here, but I just want to say as well, we are expecting Mr. Shane Hindley from Department of Transport and Public Works to also join us today, as well as Ms. Lorette Brown and Lazarus Joseph from Department of Rural Development and Land Reform. I can't see whether they are in the meeting, but the undertaking was they would be joining us in this important session.
I can confirm I see Mr. Hindley and Ms. Brown, but the third person, unless that person is using another person's computer.
I may have got his surname wrong, Chair, but his name is Lazarus, so he rose from the dead. So
So perhaps Mr. Hindley could just confirm whether his colleague is on or not.
It's Ms. Brown's colleague, Chair.
Okay.
Lazarus, from the National Department. If Lorette can just confirm, Lorette, if Lazarus will be joining us, just for the record.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon. I can confirm that Mr. Sipamandla Mbebe is actually standing in for Mr. Lazarus Joseph, who is attending another meeting this afternoon. So Sipamandla has joined. He is with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lorette.
Thank you, and welcome to Mr. Mbebe as well. And with that, again, over to you, Mr. Jacobs.
Thank you very much, Chair. So I just need to get and put it in. Excellent. You can see the presentation, Chair and members?
Indeed, indeed.
Okay, excellent. So this is really an update on the plans for Amalienstein and Vikral. As I run through the presentation, I'll give a brief background. I'll highlight what were the resolutions from our last session. Look at where are we now, and then highlight just some of the processes, the social facilitation process, to look at what has been the COVID response plan, because obviously the previous session and the last few months, we've been confronted by COVID-19. And so a lot of the things and activities we had planned could obviously not be realized because we were in a phase of lockdown. To look at then also the kind of humanitarian support for the area, and then make a few concluding remarks, Chair. So that's just the outline of the presentation. And let me then repeat again that the department briefed the Standing Committee on the 14th of July, 2020 on the matter of Amalienstein and Vikral. We provided in that meeting the history of both farms plus the rationale why government purchased these farms. Information was provided on the initial and subsequent investment by the state. The department committed to mandate Cassidra to drive the development of turnaround strategies for the two farms. And it was also the intention of the Western Cape government to facilitate the transfer of the farms to the communities in consultation with the communities affected, as well as the local municipality. So that was some of the background that we shared on the 14th of July, 2020. The committee then resolved as follows, that on a quarterly basis to invite the department and Cassidra to brief it on progress in relation to the turnaround strategies and alternative strategies planned for Amalienstein and Vikral in order to make the farm sustainable and to extend an invitation to the affected community leaders and potential beneficiaries to attend the next committee meeting, which was planned for October 2020, and this is obviously where we are now. So the question then, where are we now? And I think one of the first things we indeed immediately after the meeting was to extend Cassidra's farm management contract for the next 5 years with the following clear mandate. 1, for the two farms to become sustainable and profitable. 2, to develop, implement and manage a proper long-term plan and turnaround strategy. 3, to drive the development of the strategy to enable transfer of the farms to the respective communities. And 4thly, to investigate ventures that can optimally utilize the irrigation water, as well as to explore ventures that are not largely dependent on water on both farms. Because we do know that rainfall is sporadic and there are immense challenges in relation to water. As a further, I can and I'm happy to report that with regards to the turnaround strategy, that the terms of reference for both Amalienstein and Vikral has been drafted and that the procurement of the service provider to develop the respective turnaround strategies is underway. The challenge, as I've shared at the outset, is that we are still in a phase of lockdown. Certainly, it's been a major challenge because there's a lot that we would have wanted, a lot more we would have wanted to do, but the lockdown has made it challenging. Also, the terms of reference to appoint a service provider to map the transfer process of the farm to the communities, that has been finalized, and the procurement process is also underway with that. With regards to current projects, there are CASP applications driven by the Fruit Commodity Project Adjudication Committee that submitted applications for establishing 5 hectares of prickly pears on Vikral and also 5 hectares of prickly pears on Amalia Steyn. These project applications have been referred to the department as strategic projects and are currently being considered for funding through the department's project committee. And really these projects are about helping to ensure that the farms remain productive while a long-term plan is being developed. I thought it would be useful as well, Chair and members, to include the financial statements for both Amalia Steyn and Vikral. And the one on the left is Amalia Steyn. And as you can see, there's some change, there's not dramatic changes. If one looks at the asset base of Amalia Steyn at 2019, you had total assets of 5,699 million. And 2020, end of the financial year, it was 5,561 million. So 130,000 really material, I would argue. With regards to Vikral, it's a fairly similar scenario to 2019 financial year, total assets of just over 2 million at financial year 2020 on 1,9 million, so about 100,000 difference. If one looks under equity for both, accumulated profits with 2019 financial year was 5 million, and in 2020 is for Amalia Steyn 4,7 million. So there's about a 270,000 difference. With regards to Vikral, accumulated profit dropped from 1,790 million to 1,714 million. So effectively some 76,000 difference. But I thought, Chair and members, that it's important to include this information in your pack of documents. With regards to the issue of transfer of housing, which is primarily driven by the Department of Transport and Public Works, there's a process that's currently underway around the rezoning, subdivision and registration of urban. And I can say Transport and Public Works they have resumed the process also for the subdivision of properties, which requires the ultimate approval of the Kannaland municipality as the planning authority. And I must also just indicate, Chairperson and members, I extended an invitation to the representative from Kannaland municipality. They unfortunately had an outbreak of COVID affecting 2 staff members, and they having a deep clean underway. So the member apologized for not being able to join this meeting. I think what's important in terms of the transfer of housing, due process will be applied throughout, and the entire process involves a topographical survey, the updated subdivision plan, submission to the Surveyor General, and the registration of urban. And as I've indicated that Transport and Public Works have started that particular process. Chair, what I thought I will also share, and that's why I've invited the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform officials, or as they're now known, Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Land Reform, is they had commissioned a study and stroke evaluation report on Zuar, which included Amalia Steyn, and the purpose of the report was to provide available status quo information of the commonage area of Zuar, The main focus was on the remainder Section 3 land to allow the tenure branch of the former Dr. DLR to transfer the land held in trust by the Minister of DLR to a CPA or the municipality. The recommendations of the evaluation report, which I believe is relevant here, is that consultation take place between the community and the local municipality of Kanaland to determine the relevant portions to be formalized, and the outcome of that consultation to inform the terms of reference that will address the necessary municipal town planning processes, which needs to be followed. So I thought, again, I'll just give a snapshot of that particular study, which has relevance to Amalian Steyn. With regards to the social facilitation process, and I want to reiterate the point which I will make throughout, that COVID-19 protocols have made it extremely difficult to engage the communities. However, notwithstanding this, the department engaged Amalian Steyn community on 14th of August 2020. So it was a smaller group. Aim really was to address community concerns. The community itself was able to reach a resolution to collaborate on the one project, the Drying Court project. There were clear communication channels agreed on, and they resolved on a collaboration process going forward. At the same time, and we've obviously felt it necessary that this needs to be formalized, and so what the department has done, so we have an existing contract with the Institute for Justice and Reconciliation to conduct social facilitation within the agricultural sector for a period of 3 years. The scope of IJR has now been expanded to include community facilitation at both Amalian Steyn and Vikral, because we do believe is a very specialized field. At the same time, we're also facilitating an engagement between Cassidra and Kanaland municipality regarding the challenges related to water sharing and initiatives between Kanaland and Amalian Steyn Farm. A draft memorandum of agreement is in the process of being signed between Cassidra and Kanaland municipality. And the MOA makes provision essentially for drawing water from Amalian Steyn's Jongensland Dam. And so that's a process, Chair and members, which is currently underway. I thought, just so that you think I'm not misleading you, I thought I'll share the cover of the memorandum of agreement between Cassidra and Kanaland municipality, and it is around the water from the Jongensland Dam. There's also been, obviously, because we're still in the midst of COVID, there have been particular interventions in the area, so that I don't want members to think that our only response is very high level and basically facilitation, etc. At a very practical level, the department, with the National Department of Agriculture, Rural Development and Land Reform, had worked on a COVID-19 response plan to support smallholder farmers in the area. And you can see between Garden Route and Central Karoo, there was some 21 million rand that of projects that was approved. In total, 1,555 applications approved, totaling 58 million rand. Specific for the areas in question, there's focused on the Garden Route, what you have is Oudtshoorn area, 85 applications of just on 4 million rand. Kanaland had 119 applications, also in excess of 4 million rand, and that was really support to smallholder farmers. In total for the Garden Route area, there were 414 applications approved out of applications submitted of 660. And so specifically for Vikral, I think that gives a sense of the kind of interventions in terms of our COVID response plan. There were further additional support provided within the areas, and I think it's been well documented that the department acquired 100,000 face masks, which was distributed to farms and agri workers and producers in the Ladysmith and Kamanasi area. Kamanasi, where Vikral is, 208 face masks were distributed, and Ladysmith, which incorporated Amalia and Zuar, 248 masks were distributed. In total, 456 face masks for workers and producers within those two areas. There was also a number of additional interventions in the area of Huko in Ladysmith, a workshop capacitating agri workers on labor rights and responsibilities. Even though that was immediately prior to COVID, there was a lot of information sharing booklets to support and assist in the prevention of the COVID-19 virus from spreading. There were a number of measures instituted as part of information sharing, dissemination of important information on the regulations, hygiene practices, and the social distancing protocol. We developed a frequently asked questions document to assist producers and agri workers with questions relating to COVID-19 and the regulations. And we assisted producers and workers with their TERS and UIF applications in terms of COVID-19 regulations to Department of Employment and Labor, and we assisted with referrals to SASSA for the 350 Rand grant. So those were just some additional responses. There was also humanitarian support, where we assisted the Department of Social Development to ensure that agri workers and farming communities received the required services in terms of humanitarian relief. So, for example, in terms of Zuar, there were 159 households, incorporating Malienstein and Ladysmith and neighboring farms that were referred to DSD for assistance. And then on the job creation side, we've also been working on the economic recovery plan with a particular intervention in that area via the expanded public works program, and that's in terms of alien clearing. So, as I say, we've had a number of interventions. We were quite strong on the need to not just focus on Amalienstein and Vikral, but support, especially as we went through COVID-19. So, Chairperson, there were a number of issues that we had committed to deliver on. Firstly, that we would attend to the transfer of the housing situated on the farm to the farm workers. And as I've indicated, that rezoning and subdivision of urban is currently underway in conjunction with the Kanaland municipality, and that is effectively driven by DDPW. The second area was that we would attend to the transfer of a triangular portion of the farm on which the RDP housing is located, and that would be transferred to Kanaland municipality. And again, they've resumed that process for the subdivision of the properties, and ultimately Kanaland is the decision maker, the planning authority that need to accept that responsibility, and so the engagements there continue and is underway. Thirdly, that the department would have engaged Cassidra with regards to the extension of the management agreement, and that was done. The management agreement was extended for the next 5 years. The department through Cassidra would continue to work on the sustainability of the farm. That process is underway and forms part of the extended contract. The application for funding production activity is also currently being considered through the DPAC. That's just around the short-term sustainability. Fifthly, the eventual transfer of the farm to the community through a legal entity. The Institute for Justice and Reconciliation has had their mandate extended to undertake the social facilitation process within the affected communities, and we're hoping that over the next few weeks and definitely few months that we will no longer be in a phase of lockdown, so that when IJR engage, that they can engage on a larger scale rather than with smaller groupings. But it's obviously also a key part of the need to make sure that everybody feels part of this particular process. I think, Chair, as well, in terms of next steps, we recognize that we can control lots of things, but we can't control everything. It's, I think, much the same as operating under COVID. There's some things we can do, and there's a lot of things that's completely outside of our control. So in terms of IJR's social facilitation process, we accept that they may not be able to engage fully with all communities at the same time, which, as I say, is the ideal, but the willingness of all of the affected communities to agree to the process and commit to the outcome, we believe that that's a precursor to the success of this entire operation and project, and that we certainly cannot guarantee that, because we know there has been a measure of contestation within the communities, but IJR are the experts. I'm not going to second guess them, and I think they need to get down and engage and drive that particular process. The procurement of the service provider to develop the turnaround plans, as I've said, that's underway. While we can control the appointment process, the ownership and implementation of the turnaround plan, which does require the community's participation ultimately, that is outside of the department's control. But through the social facilitation process, we believe that that will definitely move the particular process forward. The procurement of the service provider to map the transfer process of the farm, that's also underway. And so while the mapping of the process is standard, because I think in conjunction with Department of Agriculture, Rural Development and Land Reform nationally, there's a standard process when you transfer a farm such as this to a community with CPAs been set up. The success is dependent on the outcome of the social facilitation process. Engagement with DALO to be held within the next 2 weeks around the implementation of the plans for Zuar and to build that into the social facilitation process. I have had a discussion with Lorette, and so they have confirmed their willingness to engage, and so that we actually have one process for both Zuar and Amalia Steyn. But some of the details, Chair, will certainly be worked out. But I think what's important is that they're part of this meeting, and so they can therefore also engage on their approach if required. The signing of the MOA between Cassidra and Kannaland Municipality relating to water use from the Jongansland Dam, that needs to be finalized. Certainly what we can control is the engagement between Cassidra and Kannaland Municipality, and we've already started that process. I've engaged with both the municipal officials, the Cassidra staff, as well as our water engineer from our side. I think the one challenge is that Kannaland Municipality are also requesting buy-in around all water sources within the municipal area, and a lot of that is outside of the department's control, and we'll have to pull in the Department of Water and Sanitation to have a holistic response in terms of how we manage the water situation. In terms of current projects to improve the sustainability of the two farms, which is currently being considered at the DPAC of the department, we recognize that those applications may bring incremental sustainability benefits, and so that's certainly within our control. The COVID response plan will continue, including the One Home, One Garden project, and the rollout certainly is part of the 100-day deliverables. And I'm pleased to say that it's been rolled out across the province, and In fact, the end of this week, we celebrate World Food Day, and so, sorry, end of this week is World Food Day, and so we'll be taking that particular message up the West Coast as part of our World Food Day celebrations. The economic recovery plan for the areas to continue, and so as a department, we're definitely continuing with our expanded public works program intervention in the area as part of our economic recovery plan. My final slide, Chairperson and members, in terms of concluding remarks, that we know that COVID-19 has significantly affected the implementation timeline in relation to Amalienstein and Vikral. And even at level 1, there are still limitations in how we engage, the number of people we engage with, and how we can effectively drive this process forward. Social facilitation process of IJR will guide the interface with the affected communities for both Amalienstein and Vikral. The procurement of the service provider to develop the turnaround plans, that's underway, as well as the service provider to map the transfer process of the farm. Engagement with Dallard to be held around the implementation of their plans for Zoar, and to build this into the social facilitation process of IJR. And as I've said, they're part of this meeting. So I think if there's any further questions, I'm sure my colleagues from National may want to share their thoughts on that. We are having further engagements with Kannaland Municipality on the agreement relating to water from the Jongansland Dam in order to finalize the MOA. The current projects to improve the sustainability of the two farms is being considered at the DPAC of the department. The COVID response plan will continue as long as what we have COVID, and this includes the One Home, One Garden project, and the economic recovery plan for the area will continue. And it's a lot broader than just Amalienstein and Vikral, but we believe it is absolutely critical that we continue to drive the economic recovery plan. Chairperson and members, that concludes my presentation, and as I've said, it's really an update of the work we've done over the last few months, despite the immensely challenging scenario, and I and the officials in this meeting are available for any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Before I give over to the members for their opportunity to ask questions, might I just ask, are there any other officials who would like to add or contribute to the presentation? You could just, by show of hands, give me an indication. Unless I'm missing something, there's nobody at this point in time. So thank you again to Mr. Jacobs for the presentation. And honourable members, I therefore now hand over to you for any questions that you may have. Again, by show of hands, if possible. I see Honourable Marais' hand. Honourable Marais, you are recognised.
Thank you so much, Chairman, and welcome back. I missed you. I think that Cassidra today has done what I thought they would have done the past 15 years. But they've come now to deal in the interest of the people, and I'm heartened by what I've heard. But I wrote to the national minister last time. She asked me to put before her a case for all these trust lands held in trust by central government on behalf of the coloured community. Vikral and Amalienstein is part of it. And now I'm very glad to hear the process has been undertaken to transfer the land to the community. I just want to make sure it will be put into a trust on behalf of the community, like the Konyama Trust that is applicable in the case of the Zulus. There's more than 123 areas that is held by national government trust lands for coloured community, including Peniel and other areas, Vikral, Zoar. So I know that they are now concentrating on one particular area, but it goes much wider than that. Are you contemplating making sure that this land is not given to individuals who, because of economic hardship, will again sell it off, and the community as an indigent community in the South Africa lose out on land, land which they say they are the first indigenous peoples here. Now, what are you going to do to protect this land from again falling into the hand of capitalists? And then I want to make sure, what steps have you taken to make sure that what we've seen happen all over the country in terms of corruption doesn't have their hands and their claws onto the whole process of whose applications is approved and whose applications is rejected? I'd like to know there, can we trust you that whoever you appoint to see to this process will be above board and will not be afflicted with corruption? And then you talk of incremental sustainability benefits for these people. What do you mean by incremental sustainability benefits? Do you have a plan? Step 1, step 2, step 3, a medium-term expenditure plan, how you're going to get people on these farms from point A to point B. And the garden projects, you know, if there's no water, have you got a plan how these people are going to have fertilizers, how they're going to be trained, how soon is the turnover, maturity turnover levels for these gardens to produce vegetables? Or is it just, I give you a couple of seeds and now you've got to become a garden farmer? It's not going to happen that way. People don't have a culture of doing it. I'd like answers on those. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Marais. And I don't see any other members' hands being raised. Honourable members, in the absence of that, if I could ask Mr. Jacobs 2 questions. The first one, what is the current situation regarding water and rainfall? I've heard, well, we've heard at the beginning of this meeting of some water in the dam and the tragedy, but also in the newspapers, somebody that whose vehicle was washed away and who drowned due to what I presume then was the sudden downpour of rain. So what is the current rainfall situation? And the second one is, one of the biggest problems that we've observed is the whole issue of water on those farms. Now, we do know that water is also required for residential purposes, and quite a number of houses, RDP houses, were built on Amalia and Steyn. So what percentage of the water, or what is that contract that you want to sign with Kannaland? And what is the impact going to be on the sustainability of the Amalia and Steyn farm if the scarce water that the farm already is struggling with is now also signed away to the Kannaland municipality? Is it about 20% of the farm's water rights? Is it 40%? How much will be handed over to Kannaland in order for us to just be able to then expect that if 40% of the water is going to be signed away, that the farming activities on Amalia and Steyn will have to adapt to processes, farming initiatives that will also use a lot less water. So it seems to me, Mr. Jacobs, questions from Honourable Marais and from myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair and Member Marais. It's always good to get your questions. I do want to ask if, in terms of your questions, Chairperson, if Johan Bronkhorst from Cassidra, if he can handle those questions, because he facilitated the drafting of the MOA, so he's certainly much more up to speed in terms of the detail. And so, Johan, if you can start to prepare a response on that. In terms of Member Mare's question, and I think Chairperson and Member Mare, I mean, the question on will the land be placed in trust and how will we protect the land? I think that's exactly why we are arguing that there's a need to not just have a turnaround strategy, but the actual, and I'm just trying to find the slide on that, is the issue of the pathway towards the service provider to actually map the transfer process and who does it ultimately get transferred to, and how do we ensure the protection of the land, because I think we have all learned some very hard lessons nationally about what has not worked and what has worked well. And so I agree fully that this, despite all of the challenges in terms of water and in the community, the key pillars for me is the social facilitation process. Out of that, to identify a unified structure that can effectively be your community body that begins to manage this process, and then to be able to map out clearly the transfer process. And so it would probably protect it most if it's in a trust. I agree fully, and there's been a number of very good examples, but I also don't want to preempt the work that will come out of the procurement processes. So but I think from my side, there's absolutely no doubt. It's got to be driven honestly and with integrity. There is no place for corruption. And I think we are absolutely clear on that. And we fully support that. And as I say, it will likely be in the form of a trust, but I think the mapping out of the process is going to be absolutely crucial. I think the further point around the question around incremental benefits, the point that I was really making, Member Mare and Chair, is that the interventions that's currently before the department's project committee, these are small allocations just to make sure that they to ensure the existing sustainability while a much more longer term plan is being developed. And that's why I also emphasized that there's a service provider that is being procured at present to develop a longer term turnaround plan. So this is really a matter of keeping the ship afloat while there's a proper plan. And we're not able to, in terms of the DPAC or the cost allocation from national, we're not able to pump massive amounts of money into it. So it's about keeping the ship afloat, making sure there are incremental benefits while a longer term plan is being developed by the service provider that is currently being procured. The question on the one home, one garden, and the fact that there's no culture, I'm not very supportive of that stance, I must admit, because our experience in the area is that there's a lot of homes that have food gardens, and so my experience of the Zoar and the particular area is one where there's a desire to undertake food gardens. So the support from our side is certainly the startup kits, but I believe that there is a maturity level within the community to want to undertake that kind of activity. And I want to check Willem Burger, who's also on this call, chairperson, who's the manager of our extension services within the area, maybe to share just some of his experience in terms of the community and their willingness to embrace our One Home, One Garden and undertake household food gardens. But if I can bring in Johan Broncos first, just to speak on the water, and then Willem Burger can prepare a response on the willingness of the community to embrace One Home, One Garden. Johan, can you come in, please? Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. In regards to the water situation at Vikral and Amalia, Vikral gets most of its water from the Stompdrift Dam, as you know. And about 3 to 4 months ago, the Stompdrift Dam got some water, so they could give water through to the farmers, and Vikral got enough water to fill the Jongensland Dam up to about 75%. We then proceeded to plant some lucerne and also oats with that water, but we were cautious because the Stompdrift was again empty after they gave the water to the farmers, or at least they were at about 5 or 6%. They must keep some water in the dam. So we planted just enough lucerne and also oats that we at least will be sure that we can sustain the lucerne for at least a season. Since then, no other water were made available by Stompdrift Dam. The Olifants River, I heard, has started to flow. So hopefully the Stompdrift will get some water, and then the farms can get water. The river, the Olifants River, where Vikral also get some of its water from canals from the river, has not been flowing for many years. There is some upstream, there is some small, a bit of water flowing. If it rains again in the mountains, hopefully also we'll get some water from the river. So I would say it definitely, the outlook is definitely much better than it was a year ago on Vikral. But we're not out of the woods as yet. To get there, Stompdrift must get water. As regarding Amalia, there things have changed considerably for the best since our last meeting. At that stage, we had to limit irrigation as we didn't have much water in the Jongensland Dam. In the meantime, we had some good rains, especially in the mountains, not so much on Amalia, or I would say more in the mountains than on Amalia. Amalia also had rain, and that led to water coming down the Seerowekspoort River, from which we fill up the Jongensland Dam, and the Jongensland Dam is now nearing 100%. It's not yet there. When I was there the last time, it was past 75%, and that was about 2 weeks ago. So I think the Jongensland Dam will be full very soon. So that led to us being able to re-establish our lucerne pastures, and we're currently busy we've completed some of it. We're busy with some of that, and we will also plant a lot of short-term summer pastures to as quickly as possible have enough fodder for the cows. So for the last 2 months, we had to buy limited fodder. We could rely on the fodder that is on the farm. The second issue, the issue of water, the contract with the Kannaland municipality. Since the drought started about 2016, Zwar ran out of water for human consumption on a regular basis, not a regular basis, but once a year, twice a year. And it usually happened during December, January, when consumption is high and it's very hot. And then the municipality has no other means of providing water to Zwar than getting some water from Jongensland Dam. Now, usually what happened is that the municipality will phone us a day or two before they need water, and that led to a situation where we were busy irrigating. We had fodder on the lands that we had to irrigate, and then suddenly we had to stop irrigating and give water through to the municipality. So we said we must formalize that, and we must also formalize that the municipality must pay for the pumping cost of the water. We initially said they must pay for the water, but they said they can't pay in terms of legislation. They can't pay for the water, but they can pay for the pumping costs. So what we trying to do with this memorandum of agreement is just to formalize how we're going to go about giving water through to the municipality. The measuring of the water, when must they inform us that they need water, when will we pump to them? Usually we pump overnight so that we can still do some irrigation. I would think that the water that they take is or took for the last 5 years it's less than 5%, not even 5% of the water if the Jongensland Dam is full. Obviously, when Amalienstein also struggled with water, it put Amalienstein under immense pressure to give water through to the municipality. As at one stage, the dam only had about, the dam was under 10%, and then we had to give water to the municipality and also try to survive on Amalienstein. So that put the farm under immense pressure. But in a normal year, it is very, very limited water, and obviously in a normal year, the dam that feeds Zwar will also be in a better position. So yeah, that is we're only trying to formalize on how we're gonna give water through to the municipality. So it's not a question of giving away water or signing off some of the water of the farm. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Can I ask that Willem Burger, who is the District Manager for Farmer Support and Development, just share on his experience of the maturity levels with food gardens in the area?
Thank you, Mr. Burger.
Good afternoon, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Good afternoon, honourable members and colleagues. Yes, in terms of household gardens, over the last 10 years, on average, we developed about between 20 and 60 gardens over the last couple of years. We try and there's always on a yearly basis new people that wants to start gardening, and we try to support them as far as possible and as far as our budget is are made available. As fast as possible to make it sustainable, we make tanks part of that support we give them, so that they can have make use of rainwater and catch that and use that in over the production period. Also part, and we also work with the Breede Gourits Catchment Management Agency to make tanks available. So we don't have necessary funding available, we try to use funding from their side to make the tanks available. At the moment, there's about 49 households that we are going to be implemented. We've just implemented just prior to COVID-19 about 40, and we're now going to do about 49. During COVID, we also implemented 40 in the Zoar area. So there's quite a huge demand for support with household gardens. Also to make sure that that people are using the best technology, best information. They are trained prior to implementation, as well as regular follow-ups towards these gardens to make sure that they are knowledgeable in terms of gardening. But we are they are a rural community that are used to make gardens, so it's actually easy working with them. Yeah. That's from my side. Thanks.
Thank you, Willem. Chair, can I just check if Lorette Brown and a colleague, if there's something they want to share based on the questions around the land and the process of transfer and some of their thoughts. They are free to add any comments from their side. I said I'm not going to put them on the spot, but I don't know if they do want to share anything. Thanks, Chair, and then we can have another round of questions.
Maybe just a comment before I also give Sipha Mandla a chance, Chairperson and members of the committee, to say that for us we try to be as inclusive as possible with all stakeholders that can contribute towards the transfer of land, with as many opportunities as possible for the members of the community. In terms of Amalia and Steyn, it can be anticipated that it will be broader than just, for example, the Communal Property Association, but the broader community will be involved. And I think in terms of the planning, when we get together over the period of the next 2 weeks, we will definitely rope in other stakeholders, because one can anticipate, if you look at the reports that have been drafted, that there's also stakeholders like Cape Nature and opportunities that can come from their involvement in terms of the planning going forward for the broader community that one has to accommodate. Thank you. Sipha Mandla can add in terms of the Trankra process if he feels he would like to. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Mbebe.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I concur with my colleagues on what they've added. But I would just like to indicate as well that in terms of our processes, when we engage with communities on the establishment of a legal entity, we probably give them all the options, which would include the trust as raised by the Honorable Marius, and as one of the illegal entities that they could choose from in terms of establishing a legal entity through which they will hold the land. So that option is not closed out. It's one of the options that are there. I thank you, Chair.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Mbebe. Honourable members, are there any further questions to either the representatives of the department, Cassidra, or from our national colleagues? If you could just indicate by raising your hand or just interjecting. Going.
My hand is raised. Maybe you didn't look in my direction.
No, I see your hand now, Honourable Marais.
Okay. Thank you so much. Chair, to the members, thank you for your explanation. Of course, your powers you derive from the Trankra Act of 1998. And I know that there are certain options. There's options for a transfer of land, and there's also steps to be taken, whether it's a trust or whether it's a private ownership. And also, You only mentioned the Kannaland municipality, which is a municipality that doesn't really cause me to sleep at peace at night for what's going on there. You're also supposed to consult with the district councils, aren't you? Not only Kannaland municipality, but the district council at times if need be. Now, if you must determine the land tenure, the ownership, the registration campaign, and he must have a voter's roll compiled according to the Act as to who can vote there in terms of the decision as to what happens to the land. You haven't touched on that. I would like to hear how you're going to do that. And the Transformation Committee, supposed to meet once a month. And you must also involve the community in these meetings. Because each community is supposed to form a land development forum, and it must be an elected committee. Now, the landholding options is either a CPA, like you've said, or it can be a trust. And there are specific advantages and disadvantages to both. Because according to the Act, the land will only be transferred to a community or a trust if, in the opinion of the minister, there is a guaranteed balance between security of tenure rights and land use rights. So you don't have a free hand. The minister must be satisfied that you can guarantee a balance between security of land tenure rights and land use rights. I don't want tomorrow to see Vikral become a shanty town because some minister at national level decide that she needs the land to build social housing on. So I'd like to hear you on that. How do we make sure this land is not lost to the Vikral, Amalia, Zua community? It will stay agricultural land.
Thank you, Honourable Marais. Did you want a specific official to respond? Shall we hand it to Mr. Jacobs then to decide who's best placed to respond?
I think Mr. Jacob is the right man to decide who to answer, sir. The captain decides who plays scrum half and who play wing.
Agreed. Thank you. Mr. Jacobs.
Thank you very much.
Your scrum has just won the ball.
Or the coach that decides the chair. But I want to, in terms of the consultation around the transfer processes that DTPW are currently handling, and they're handling it with the municipality. If I can bring in Shane Hindley from Department of Transport and Public Works, to what extent has the district municipality, to what extent are they required to be part of the process of determining the steps that you're currently driving? And then flowing from that, is there going to be further engagement with the district council or district municipality? My understanding is that the rezoning processes and is one involving only Kannaland municipality, but I may be incorrect. And then, yeah, if I can have that, and then I'll deal with the transformation committee, which is needing to be set up and to meet monthly. So Shane, if you can come in just on the transfer issues on housing and the triangular portion of the farm.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hindley, and welcome. We're looking forward to your input.
Thank you, Chairperson and honourable members. Okay, so in terms of the processes that we are currently dealing with in terms of the subdivision and transfer of properties or houses to the farm workers, In terms of the statutory requirements, it is only the municipality, Kanaland municipality as planning authority, and that will also apply to what is referred to as the triangular portion, which is also to be transferred to the municipality in order that the RDP or the residents of the RDP housing can then be given transfer of their individual properties. So that's for the two, shall I say, smaller portions. The longer term issue of ownership of the farm and so forth, I think that's what Daryl referred to in terms of the, if I understand it correctly, the transformation committee, because ultimately we will be led by, let's say, the consultation process, whatever that would be required, because ultimately we as department would give effect to the, let's say, the final transfer, whatever form that would take in terms of the outcome of the consultation process. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And if I can ask Mr. Freek van Zyl, who's sitting in the Cassidra boardroom, you'll see his hand up. He's the acting CEO of Cassidra. If I can ask him to come in to also respond to a part of the question.
Yeah, thank you. If I may go. Good afternoon to the members and to the colleagues. What you do normally in the contract, you phrase in the transfer deed and in the title deed, you put a restriction clause in. In that clause, you say what must happen to the land. For instance, if it cannot be used by the community, then it falls back to the previous landowner. Or you put a clause in that it cannot be put up as security and that you cannot sell that property. In this regard, or by doing this, you safeguard the land from any other use that you think improper use, for instance.
Thank you, Freek. And then if I can just also respond on the issue of the Transformation Committee. And I think, Chairperson, that's why I keep emphasizing the point of us. I really want us to be moving beyond COVID so we can actually get down to do what we need to be doing to transform and drive the future of these two areas, because it is so. There needs to be a clearly defined process, and out of that, the Transformation Committee instituted for both Vikral and Amalia and Steyn. And so together, and I think between the work of the Institute for Justice and Reconciliation, as well as the mapping of the transfer process and the kind of options that were also outlined by Sipamandla Mbebe, I think all of those are critical to be plotted out so we can have a clear way forward and how we move ahead with this. And I remember Maria is correct that all of this is defined by the Trankra Act. And so we want to make sure that we stick to the letter of the law, that there is no space for any individual to end up gatekeeping and to limit the opportunity. In fact, not a limit, but to completely eliminate any possibility of corruption or manipulation of processes. We believe in this process. We believe in these two farms, and we want to protect it. It cannot be lost. And I appreciate what the acting CEO of Cassidra has said, that we will build into our processes that if it's no longer being used for the purpose as defined, that it reverts to the previous landowner, which is the Department of Transport and Public Works or the state, so that we are protected, the farmers protected, and that it is not lost for agriculture. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs. Honourable members, I take it that we can now step off item 1.1 on our agenda, which brings us then to 1.2, the recruitment process for a new Chief Executive Officer for Cassidra. And again, Mr. Jacobs, will you be informing us as to the progress in that regard?
No, Chair. The acting CEO, Mr. Freek van Zyl, is waiting to respond to that question. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. van Zyl. I see your hand is raised.
Once again, thank you, Chair. Yes, the board first had to come to finish the process regarding the investigation. That was done. The board accepted the outcome of that. Following that, the board decided to refer the matter to their HR and Remuneration Committee. They convened and they requested that we put out a bid for recruitment agencies to assist us in this regard, because the board decided not to do it on their own or internally by means of our own capacity. There was already a committee meeting. The tender closed and the service provider was appointed. They already met and they mapped out their plan, and we've got the action plan that was accepted by the committee, and it is now roughly in the timeline. They intend to have the person in office 1st of February or 1st of March next year.
Thank you, honourable members. Any questions from your side regarding the process?
Yes, Chairman, I would like to pose a question.
Please proceed.
I want to make sure that you give an undertaking. You are not going to do what the Correctional Services has done, that you look at a man's color when you appoint him, but that you look at the best man. The next revolution is going to be a grab for land. That is going to be the biggest item on any politician's mind or on any businessman's mind. Who's going to own the instruments of production, of which land is one of the very important aspects. Now, we want to make sure that Cassidra is a success and that these farms, which you have been entrusted with, remains a success in the hands of the right people. Now, I want to make sure that you are not going to go and look at labor equity laws to see who's the blackest man and who is the most African of all of them, but that you look at who is the best equipped, competent person to be CEO of Cassidra that can guide this process. Can I have that undertaking?
Chair, on behalf of the board, I can accept that. The board is bound to an open, fair and honest process. And it was already said that they are really looking for the best candidate, for the best jockey to ride this horse.
Good, thank you. And then Honourable Maseko, I recognize your hand.
Thank you, Chair. Just for clarity, because I see there is an undertaking that it has been taken to understand the best of the African of them all. What does that mean? Chair, if I can get help in understanding that.
Yes, I can let you explain. The equity law says everybody with a brown skin is black, but is not the African. That excludes people look like me from being promoted, because we assume by the equity law that although we are black, supposed to be, we're not African. I hope that satisfied Honourable Maseko.
Thank you, Honourable Marais. And can I just ask our honourable members to please recognize the chair and please don't just engage in a debate here. We are actually here to ask from Cassidra regarding their progress in this matter. Honourable Maseko, have you got a question to Cassidra?
Yeah, Chair, through your indulgence, I just wish that as members, we need not to push some of our interpretations to the officials that they have to do an undertaking with our own interpretation. We need to mind that they can also understand the laws that are out there without us pushing our interpretations to them, Chair. Thank you.
Can I just, Mr. Van Zyl, a question from my side. If you could just give me an indication, since when have you been acting as CEO? And since when has the CEO position been vacated, or on what date have you moved to a position where one could expect Cassidra to start with the recruitment process?
Chair, I started, okay, the previous CEO was put on special leave on the 14th of February this year. The board then started with a forensic investigation without him being at the office. We received the final report and it was discussed and accepted by the board after a disciplinary process. And he was dismissed on the 14th of July this year. So after that, the board decided, had a meeting, they accepted the outcome of the disciplinary process, and they then decided that they will proceed with the filling of the vacancy. Just to inform you as well that the previous CEO referred the matter to the CCMA, and we've got a CCMA meeting on the 22nd of October, in a few days' time.
Thank you, Mr. Van Zyl. So you've been acting since the 14th of February, thereabouts? And
yes, Chair.
Yes. And it seems to me the position has been vacant for the last 3 months, more or less.
Yes, Chair.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. And honourable members, are there any further questions in this regard before we allow the officials to leave the meeting, should they so wish? I don't see any hands. Then
Sir,
I want
could I ask a last question?
To Cassidra on this topic?
Yes, I want to ask a question to Cassidra.
Please, go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to know, Cassidra, are you now, because we always just speak about, just try to understand, are you just responsible for Malistijn, Vikral and Zoar, or all those trust lands which the Tranke Act speaks of that must be put in a process of being transferred to the communities who stay there? I think there's quite a lot of them, including Peniel and other places, even Pakkalsdorp. Are you only responsible for Malistijn, Vikral and Zoar? Excuse me if I am not so queued up on it. How far does your responsibility extend?
Mr. Van Zyl, I think if you would be so kind to just tell us a little bit more about what Cassidra is really doing. It seems to me that we really need more background regarding all the expectations of Cassidra and what you're responsible for. Thank you.
Chair, thank you. Let me say up front that we are not responsible for Zoar. Zoar is the community, is the town. Cassidra is responsible for the management of the farm Amalia and also for the farm Vikral. If you have a look at the even the land, Amalienstein's land, it goes much wider. Up in the mountains, there's a big piece that's under the management of Cape Nature. So only the agricultural land is currently under the management of Cassidra, and it's done per contract with the department, both for Amalienstein and for Vikral. So no, we are not involved elsewhere in the province with trust land or other, the old Act 9 land. We are not involved there. Previously, Cassidra was involved in the Kranshoek, Griqua near Plettenberg Bay. We've managed to transfer that farm successfully to the Griqua community a couple of years ago. And then I think it was last year that we've transferred, or we managed the farm until the point of transfer where the farm Arnold near Uniondale, near Haarlem, was transferred to the community. Now, just back to the various models, the farm Kranshoek was transferred into a trust, and the farm Arnold was transferred into a company. But no, we are not elsewhere involved in the province currently.
Except that Cassidra is being used by the department for many other agriculture-related initiatives as well.
Yeah, that is definitely so. We are the implementing company, and we are implementing the CAS projects. And then also we are implementing the drought voucher, and we are also involved with DIA, where we are doing alien clearing for the Department of Environmental Affairs, in a nutshell.
Good. Thank you. Honourable Marais, I see your hand.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think that, Chairperson, I would like to address this committee and say it's time that we look at the total trust lands. These are actually lands that's communally owned. And I think it's all for the Brown community. It's when the House of Representatives ceased to exist, national government took over these lands, which was held in trust by the tricameral Parliament's House of Representatives. But when the House of Representatives ceased to exist, Mr. Chairman, the national government took over all these trust lands and is still holding on to it. And I would like us to see how far we should extend Cassidra's responsibility in this regard. The trust lands held in trust by government on behalf of coloured communities extends far beyond just Amalia and Vikral.
Good. Thank you, Honourable Marais. Honourable Marais, one of the points on our agenda always refer to resolutions or actions. And can I ask that you just park your ideas and that we cover that under resolutions going forward? I trust that is in order with you.
Sir, thank you very much for your suggestion. I agree with you.
Good. Thank you very much. Then, honourable members, on behalf of all of us, I would like to say thank you very much to Mr. Jacobs, who led the presentations today and who also directed the inputs from the various departments and role players. Thank you very much to each and every one of you. A particular word of thanks then to Mr. Jacobs. Please convey our thanks also to the head of department, Dr. Sebupetsa. We appreciate him leaving his other meeting to come and join us initially. And we wish you well, and we do hope that the recent rains in the Klein Karoo, that it was just a precursor to a good summer with a lot of rain for that area. And thank you very much. So we will now continue as a committee, considering minutes, our report on a recent oversight visit, etc. And therefore, all officials, if they would like to leave this meeting, they are free to do so now. Obviously, we're still public, so if you would like to remain on this platform, you are welcome to do so. But thank you very much, Mr. Jacobs, and please convey our thanks as well.
Will do. Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you, members, and goodbye.
Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you from Cassidra's side, and goodbye as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Van Zyl, and thank you for your service there as acting CEO as well. It's never easy. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Good. Thank you, honourable members. Quite a number of documents have been circulated to you last week, and our last point on the agenda would then be the resolutions, which I referred to when I addressed Honourable Marais just now. But if we could, before we get to that point, just if I can put to you the minutes, that's now agenda point number 2.1, the minutes of the 18th of September. Honourable members, you see it there on your screen. Thank you very much, Ms. Niekerk. I think it consists of 2 pages, if I remember correctly. Good. Page 1 is there. And then page 2, Ms. Niekerk, was Honourable Marais at that meeting?
No, Chairperson, that was a environmental subject matter that was covered. It was the NIMLA bill.
Good. So I wonder, Ms. Niekerk, if I could ask you that we let this set of minutes stand over, because I believe that Ms. Maseko, Honourable Maseko, has just left us. And I think I'm the only member that also attended that previous meeting. And I would like bigger buy-in before we adopt that set of minutes, please.
That's fine, Chairperson, if you prefer that. But I just want to point out to you that procedurally, there's nothing wrong with the quorum being present at this meeting, adopting the minutes, even though they were not present at the time of the meeting.
Correct.
So if you're more comfortable, we can let that stand over.
Please do. Thank you.
I'll do so.
The next one is the report on the oversight visit to the Oeverstrand region, the 1st and the 2nd of September. And fortunately, Honourable Marais did accompany us on that visit, where we visited, amongst others, the abalone farm, also that piece of land where we were concerned about the milkwood forest, as well as the Kogelberg Nature Reserve. So, Honourable Marais, would you support that we adopt that report?
Yes, Chair, I support the adoption of the report.
Thank you very much. So that report has been adopted. Sorry, Honourable America?
I support too, Chair.
Good, thank you. Much appreciated. Thank you. Then, Honourable members, the next one, and perhaps Mr. Niekerk can just quickly beam that onto the screens as well, is the quarterly report for July to September. That is now where she's reporting on the activities of this committee for the last quarter. And can I have a proposal that we also adopt the quarterly report?
I propose that we adopt, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable America. Supported by Honourable Marais?
Yes, sir. I support.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And then the 4th document is the tracking document as today. That is the summary of all our resolutions, and also where we still wanted to do some follow-up. Can I get support for our tracking document?
I propose that we adopt, Chair.
Much appreciated, Honourable America and Honourable Marais.
I second that, Chairperson.
Good. Thank you. And then under 2.5, our program going forward, Honourable members, there's just something which I need to draw your attention to, and I believe that Ms. Niekerk, in her usual efficient way, liaised with you as well. As you know, we adopted our draft mandate to our representatives in the National Council of Provinces. And if the National Council of Provinces is going to stick to their program, we unfortunately will have to have a special meeting just to draft our final mandate during one of our constituency weeks. And I'm very sorry about that. It is really unavoidable. We expect that the National Council of Provinces may again adjust their program, and then obviously we will not require of you to briefly meet on that Thursday, the 12th of November. But if they should stick to their program, we unfortunately will have to have that brief meeting. And you see that there on top of your screen, Thursday, the 12th of November. I believe it has been communicated and cleared with you individually, and I really want to say thank you very much for your indulgence and for your willingness interrupt your constituency period. Fortunately, one of the advantages of using these virtual or online meetings is the fact that one can meet even when you're in your constituency. So that is our program going forward. You see it there, the 12th of November, the 17th of November, where my proposal has been that we said we would be monitoring the drought conditions and the support needed, because you have heard that the national government has decided to, if I can call it, deproclamate the drought. It's no longer a national disaster in terms of their proclamation. And the feedback that we've received is that, unfortunately, the farmers will still be needing support. Even if we get good rains now, they need to rebuild their stock, and the veld will take a number of years to recover as well. Good. So, honourable members, can we also adopt that as our draft program going forward? Thank you, Honourable America.
Can I propose, and I will propose it?
Yeah, and I support the Chair.
And Honourable Marais, your input?
Yes, sir. I'll go along with that.
Excellent. Thank you very much, honourable members. And that all our if I can call it, reports and our program have therefore now been adopted, which brings us to the point where I think Honourable Marais would like to make an input as well, and that is our resolutions going forward. And may I remind you, Honourable Marais, you referred to the whole issue of the what you call trust land. Sorry, Honourable Mayor, I think you're still on mute. Just unmute yourself. There you are.
Okay. I propose that this committee resolve that the progress of the transfer of land to the coloured communities as referred to in the Trunker Act of 1998 be investigated, and that the National Minister of Land Affairs be engaged in this regard to speed up the progress, or the process rather. We need to speed up the process of transferal of land to the communities as listed in the Trunker Act of 1998, so that these trust lands can become the property of the communities affected.
Thank you, Honourable Marais. I see Honourable America's microphone.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have a problem with the resolution or the proposal, but perhaps maybe we should just word it differently and inquire about the status and the progress with regard to the transfer, not an investigation. I don't know if that would meet with the approval of the proposer. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'm going to give Honourable Marais an opportunity just now, but I also, can I just say, personally, I'm uncertain as to, and I think that is also what Honourable Marais wants to find out, is to how far is that process? And I think what is important, therefore, for us is how much of that land is still waiting to be transferred. Am I correct, Honourable Marais? And perhaps if we can first get a report on what is the current status of such land in the Western Cape. Over to you. Honourable Marais, you're again on mute. Over to you.
So, following on the bill that Minister Patricia de Lille has tabled Friday in Parliament, this is becoming very, very important to me and my community, that we get clarity on the status now and future status of these lands. We can't now dilly-dally about it. We want action and the process speeded up before this land is grabbed for other use.
Good. So, Honourable Marais, just to summarize, we want to invite the National Minister of Public Works to come and report on such land that is being held in trust?
Yes, sir. We need to engage directly with the National Minister, because she and Patricia de Lille work in conjunction with each other on land occupation and land reform. We want to know what are they planning with these lands. And I've already contacted her. She asked me to put it in writing, which I did. And now all is dead silent for more than a month. And I think this committee has far more power than I as an individual to pursue this matter. So I know that you have a majority on this committee, but I would ask the DA and Honourable America to please don't water down the resolution. We want clarity on what the intentions are with this land and how can the process be speeded up.
Good. So can I just, if you speak, say you've written to the minister that you would like to see is the Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, Mr. Kududiza. Am I correct? You're referring to her, Honourable Marais?
I am referring to her, sir. I am. Last time in the standing committee, I brought up this issue. The deputy minister appeared before us at the time because the minister could not. The deputy minister didn't even know about these trust lands. And he said, if I could write to the minister, which I did then. And then the minister said to me, if I must give her details, and I gave her details. And now they're quiet because they come with a bill that says they can expropriate land if they make you an offer via the courts and you don't accept that offer, then expropriation without compensation will kick in. The two acts work in conjunction. The PI Act and the new bill, they are the same coin, flip sides. The one, you occupy the land, then the onus is on government to seek a court order before you can evict the invaders. Then when the court says they should get affordable housing, you sit with the problem, where do I get the land from? They make an offer to you, the owner of the land refuses the offer, and then they expropriate with or without compensation.
Yes, yes.
We should act as politicians. We're not administrators. We're politicians. We should see what's happening.
Good. Honourable Marais, can I just ask, would you, because obviously we've got limited dates, and my impression is that you would like us to move as quickly as possible, get this information so that we can deal with the issue. Can we phrase it this way, that we are going to invite the National Minister of Agriculture, Rural Development and Land Reform, but if she's not available, for her to send a representative on her behalf to come and report to this committee? Would that be acceptable to you, or will we have to wait until our dates and her dates, meet one another?
That will be acceptable to me, fine. Mr. Chair. I think we found each other on this point. This is a matter of urgency. This is a matter of disempowering people, which we must stop.
Good. Thank you very much. So, Ms. Niekerk, I trust you have the resolution there in front of you. That is now dealing with the transfer of these land held in trust, and particularly, as Honourable Marais has said, for the traditional coloured communities. Can I just ask, are there any other resolutions that you would like to take? And can I remind you that today we had the briefing on those farms. We had the briefing on the appointment of the Cassidra CEO, or any other items that you believe emanate from our meeting today that you would like us to take further. It seems then to me as if this resolution, as proposed by Honourable Marais, is then the resolution for the day. Honourable members, with that, I just want to ask Ms. Niekerk, before we adjourn, if there are any other items that she believes we should be dealing with. Ms. Niekerk?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. No, there's nothing else. I think everything was covered. Thank you.
Honourable members, I want to say thank you very much to each and every one of you. Thank you. A special word of thanks to our procedural officer, Ms. Niekerk, who's really a big help and excellent in the timing of the circulation of presentations, and particularly the documentation that she's responsible for. Also for our ICT support staff, I want to say thank you very much to each and every one of you. And then honourable members, for your presence and input today. I really appreciate that. And I wish you a great remainder of this afternoon. And we see each other then again in 2 weeks from now. Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.